have Prince Harry and Meghan Markle relegated their children to really quite a sad life. Hello everyone, welcome to Royal News Network. My name is Brittany, and today we're going to be talking about something kind of interesting. I rarely really talk about Archie and Lili to a certain extent because obviously they are children and you don't want to pull the children into the parents' games too much. However, when it came to the announcement that not only would Meghan not be attending the coronation, but neither would Archie or Lilibet, because Archie needs to have his 4th birthday party on his 4th birthday in California and not with the rest of his extended family in the coronation, it really came to the forefront of my mind how much Archie and Lili really live quite a sad existence. They are separated from their family, their heritage, their culture, so many different things in the desperate and very toxic ambition of Meghan Markle. And I really think at the end of the day, I don't know what'll happen. I don't really want to suppose too much, but I would think if I was Archie or Lilibet and I became an adult and realized how much my parents banned me from events that were historic, one of a kind, and that pretty much I was raised just like any other celebrity kid in Hollywood, I would be a little miffed. I missed out on my grandmother's platinum jubilee, my grandfather's coronation, or sorry, my great-grandmother's platinum jubilee, my grandfather's coronation, so many other royal events that Harry and Meghan have denied their children. And I think really at the end of the day, this will only harm their children in the long run, especially in this massive PR game Harry and Meghan are trying to play. And I really think it puts their kids at a huge disadvantage in the future. So I'm going to go over a little bit of that today. But if you guys haven't been here to Royal News Network before, like I said, my name is Brittany, and on this channel I provide compelling royal commentary about the latest news and sometimes a little bit of gossip as well. In addition, I will be reviewing television shows and movies and sharing a bit about history too. So if you guys want to subscribe, that would be fantastic. I also have a weekly newsletter, Royal Wire, that covers the royal news of that week. I also have a couple upcoming trips to Europe, and I also have a royal fashion channel. So if you guys want to check any of that out, it'll be linked in the description box down below. And before we get to Archie and Lili, we'll talk briefly about their grandfather, King Charles, who attended the Sandhurst graduation ceremony this year. Obviously, both of his sons have graduated from Sandhurst, and he said how proud he was of his sons that they were able to graduate from this incredible military academy. In addition, we actually had a couple of royal guests. So we had King Abdullah and his son Hussein, both graduated from the military academy, and we also have Grand Duke Henry from Luxembourg. He was there as well. So it was really a moment where some of the higher ranking royals in particular countries who had been to Sandhurst attended the first graduation ceremony with King Charles. And I really think that's quite cool, especially in the lead up to the coronation. And I know a couple of you have been asking, I'm working on some great coronation videos that'll start next week. I just need to do a little bit more background research and everything because I'm really excited about those videos. I want to make sure they're done well. But this is a subject, Archie and Lili, that I really wanted to do because I think just looking as somebody who's a historian, as someone who's some of my most clear childhood memories, believe it or not, are related to news events, I just find this reprehensible that Harry and Meghan are limiting their children so much, taking away so much of their heritage, their experiences, in the pursuit of their own selfish ambition. And really the ultimate victims of all of Harry and Meghan's machinations will be their children. It'll entirely be their children at the end of the day. Even though the royal family's taken a lot of hits and everything, I don't think Harry and Meghan really think about their children much in this scenario. It's all about them and their pursuits and pushing against the monarchy and the toxicity of the royal family and everything. But they never, I don't feel like, take a step back and think, well, what toxicity are we giving to our children? What toxicity are we leaving them with? Because Archie and Lili, they could be surrounded by a massive, massive family that's very, very close. So we really saw this at the Queen's Platinum Jubilee during the pageant. We've seen bits and pieces of the kids interacting at different events. We've seen Trooping the Color, because we had that great moment where Savannah covered the face of Prince George, and William, you could say, was clearly like not totally happy with that situation, which I thought was quite sweet. But you could tell that those kids had spent a lot of time together, that she felt even comfortable doing that. We also had the event where Catherine was with the kids at the polo game, and we had Autumn Phillips there, and all the kids were playing and interacting, and you could just tell that they spend a lot of time together. We also had a bit of paparazzi shots showing the Waleses along with the Tyndalls, and they were at, looked like some sort of horse event probably, because they go to a lot of those, and the kids were hanging out. I believe it was Mia who was on the shoulders of Prince William, and so you could tell that all these kids hang around each other, and Prince George was on Mike Tyndall's shoulders. So there is this great, wonderful relationship between these families, and it was really, really exemplified in the royal pageant. We had Charlotte, she put her arms around Mia when Mia looked a little sad. Mia then put her head on Catherine's shoulder, and Catherine was trying to console her and chat with her. You also had Louis, who was just all over the place, and Mike Tyndall, I think he did this with Louis doing the eyes and trying to tell him, I'm watching you, little Louis. And you could just tell that they just have fun. They're a family, they're a unit. There was a great warmth, I thought, to the interactions, especially between the Waleses and the Tyndall children and the Phillips children, that all these kids are friends. All these kids are family, and I couldn't help but be so incredibly sad that Archie and Lili didn't get that time. Archie and Lili didn't get an opportunity to spend any time with their cousins. And Lili had her first birthday in the UK on her first birthday, and obviously, everybody was busy because it was in the middle of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. We got information that maybe the Tyndall kids and the Phillips kids came. The Waleses were busy. Charlotte and George were with their parents in Wales. And then we also had, I believe, Louis was at home with his nanny. Because again, there's no trust right now between Harry and Meghan and William and Catherine. So William and Catherine were like, you know what? If we're not there, we're not going to put our nanny in the firing line, because Meghan has been known, and Catherine got frustrated with Meghan screaming at her staff members, and so she actually talked to Meghan about that's one of the reports. Allegedly that happened. So Catherine didn't want to subject her staff members to potentially being put out by Meghan by letting Nanny Maria go with Louis to Lili's first birthday, so they kept them there. And again, we have maybe a couple of the kids came, but do they really know Archie or Lili? No, because Harry and Meghan have denied them that opportunity. And when you look at the royal family, yes, they are royal, and yes, they have this extreme privilege and this very unique role in our lives, but at the end of the day, they are a family. And so you see them interacting as a family. The warmth that we saw at the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, I thought was one of the best things royals could do. It shows that, yes, they have a privilege and positions and power, but yet at the same time, they let their kids be kids. They let their kids hang out and have fun. And I think that was huge. And that Harry and Meghan weren't part of that equation at all, I'm like, ooh, that was such a bad move for you guys, because just seeing perhaps Louis and Archie become a bit friendly, and maybe Lili squirming on her mom's lap and wanting to touch people and interact with people, that would have been wonderful. We got this great moment because apparently I think Louis and Charles have a bit of a special connection. At some point, William leaned over during the pageant and goes, Dad, can Louis come over? And Charles was like, yeah. And so Louis came over and sat on his grandfather's lap and just seemed to have great fun. They seemed to have a wonderful, warm relationship. So this idea that Harry and Meghan have pushed for so long, that the royal family is toxic and terrible and all these sorts of things, when you look at it, it just doesn't hold water at all. Because if that was true, then the kids would be so stiff that they wouldn't interact with each other. They weren't having fun. I think Mia at one point messed up George's hair. So even though he is going to be a future king, he's going to be the future Prince of Wales, they had no problem messing with him. They had no problem teasing him a bit. And so this image that Harry and Meghan want to portray just doesn't hold up in reality. Once truth comes out, it's just very hard to deny that and say that the royal family is toxic when they clearly don't look it. And increasingly, Harry and Meghan look like the toxic element. And when it comes to the king's coronation, yes, it's on Archie's birthday. And I know some people are like, well, couldn't they schedule it some other time? I was like, it was a government decision. They decided, hey, this would be the best date. We could have the most control here. This would work best for us. And the royal family was like, sure, whatever you wanted. I don't think the royal family was particularly going, well, we want this date and we can't have any other date because we want it to clash on Archie's birthday. I'm sure that's not what they were doing. It was it's a state occasion. This is not a family occasion. This is an occasion of state. Same with tripping the color, same with the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. The tripping of the color calendar is set in advance. The Queen's Platinum Jubilee was set in advance. So it fell over Lilibet's birthday, and hey, that's life. And if you're a family, if you're adults and you're able to help your kids manage those type of things, you're like, hey, we can't have your birthday this day. We're going to have your birthday another day. But guess what you get to do on your actual birthday? You get to watch your grandfather, the king, be crowned. You get to see all this pageantry, all this majesty, all this stuff that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. But Harry and Meghan didn't want to give their children that. They denied their children that. Archie will just have a general 4-year-old's birthday. He won't get up early probably and watch it. Maybe Meghan will force her kids to watch it at 4 a.m. as if they'll care, because you even have denied them the opportunity to even have a relationship with Charles. So they have no connection to this event, and this coronation would be a great opportunity to do that. You could grow, you could have a better relationship, and you could spend time with all these different people and see something, again, that does not happen, has not happened for years. I know people aren't so keen on Charles, but when you really think about it, this is something that hasn't happened in 70 years. So in many ways, it'll be somewhat more historic than William's will be, because William's will happen within 10 to 20 years, probably, maybe 30. If that would be extreme, I think, because Charles is already in his 70s. I think 10 to 20 would be about fine. And so you don't have this, I mean, they're going to work out all the kinks with William's coronation in this one, really, because most of the people who were at this coronation will probably remember the next one. Whereas you can't say the same with the Queen. So many people who were at that initial coronation are dead. Charles even was a child, an itty bitty child. He couldn't even stay there. Princess Anne was even tinier. She never actually went to the coronation. I believe he was 4 and she was 2. And Anne didn't even go to the coronation service itself in Westminster Abbey, although Charles went for a brief period of time. And there's that famous picture of him looking quite bored at some point. And we won't get that. Obviously, Harry and Meghan, I think, were hoping, and we've gotten a lot of reports about this, that they wanted Archie's birthday acknowledged somehow on the day with some sort of fanfare. They wanted the crowd to sing happy birthday. They wanted their kids on the balcony. They wanted their kids at the service. They have so many demands with their children, and the palace is like, no. Well, number one, they're too young. And number two, you're no longer working royals. So I'm so sorry, there's just not much point in being there. And honestly as well, when it comes to modern monarchies, it's really the initial heirs family, and beyond that, once they have kids, so once William had kids, Harry became irrelevant and so did his children. And I know that's hard to deal with. I'm sure as a young royal that's challenging, but at the same time, that's life. All monarchies are hierarchy. They cannot function if they're not a hierarchy. So that is what Harry had to deal with. So the monarchy had to make this sound, logical judgment, which was to say, I'm so sorry, but no, your kids can't come. And what was really interesting is that apparently this really miffed Meghan. And I read this piece and I thought, this is not really on the monarchy, and this is on you, Meghan Markle, so go ahead and take a listen here. This is from the Daily Express. It says, Royals insiders claim Meghan Markle was upset at her children missing out on the next month's coronation festivities. The claim follows announcements that Prince Harry will attend the historic occasion on May 6th, but Meghan will stay at home in California with their 2 children, Lilibet and Archie, who will be celebrating his 4th birthday. And I read that and I thought, well, you could come. The only person denying them this is you. You're the only one denying your kids this incredible, amazing, historic opportunity to spend time with their family, observe this really cool historic occasion, really connect them to their heritage. But no, it's better if we stay in California and celebrate Archie's 4th birthday, which he probably won't remember. But would he remember the coronation? Oh yeah, yes, he would remember the coronation. So Charles was 3 at his mother's coronation, so he is barely a little bit younger than Archie. And here's what he says about some of his memories in the lead up and at the coronation. He says, I shall never forget when we were small, having a bath, and she came in practicing wearing the crown before the coronation. All those sorts of marvelous moments I shall never forget. And I think that's lovely that he has this kind of funny memory. And Archie could have that funny memory too. Charles could come in and he could josh with the kids while he's wearing this crown, practicing with the St. Edward's crown, which is quite heavy. And so it's something you probably need to get a bit used to because it weighs 5 pounds, about 5 pounds. So it's very, very heavy. And the imperial state crown weighs a little less than that, which is why the Queen wore it afterwards. And most of the royals or the monarchs generally wear that afterwards. But that little memory, even if he was 3, that little memory, because that would stick with you. It's not every day your mother comes into your bath wearing a crown. I think that would be memorable. And Charles, I think, is a very sweet, fun grandpa. Sure, I'm sure he's a bit stiff and somewhat formal, but I believe he just does have a genuinely warm relationship with his grandkids, especially little Louis. And I think he has a great relationship with Catherine, and Catherine has a great relationship with Camilla. So there'll be very much this family atmosphere at the heart of this state occasion, because they'll all be there supporting each other. Even Ingrid Stewart, who is one of the royal reporters that's been around for quite a lot, she's been the editor-in-chief of Majesty magazine. Here's what she had to say. Archie, who will celebrate his 4th birthday on the day of the coronation, is the real loser of his mother's decision not to attend the historic event, according to Majesty magazine's editor-in-chief Ingrid Stewart. On Wednesday, the palace confirmed that Prince Harry will be attending the historic event alone, without his wife and 2 children in tow. Ms. Stewart told the Mirror how exciting it would have been to see soldiers, carriages, and horses of his grandfather's armies. What a shame Archie was denied the opportunity, however hard for his parents. The royal expert said the couple would have had a big enough team to both attend the king's big day with their 2 children. She said, however pathetic when you have a team of helpers, Meghan can still use the excuse of Archie's 4th birthday to avoid crossing the Atlantic to be ridiculed by both the royal family and the Brits. And that's the truth here. Meghan avoiding this ceremony is all to save her own ego and her own public image. It's not to serve her children. It's not to serve her children. I strongly believe family is incredibly important. And what I find most abhorrent about Harry and Meghan so much is that they've denied their children the opportunity to have a big family. Because basically it's just them and her mother and her half-sister. That's all the family they have. Even though they have a massive extended royal family across the Atlantic, they can't interact with any of them. They can't hang out with any of them. Oh, no, it's going to be too hard. They all had to come to California and be on Harry and Meghan's turf. They can't go back to Windsor. They can't go back to Buckingham Palace or wherever to spend time with the family. Yes, they've lost Frogmore Cottage, which I think is perfectly fine. But are there a myriad of royal homes they could come and occupy for a week or 2 throughout the year? Yes. And would the royal family make apartments available for them to spend some time so that the family get to know Archie and Lili? Yes. Because when you look at the future for those 2 children, I don't think, especially when it comes to those royal titles now that they demand we use. Once again, I think that was a huge, massive misstep for Harry and Meghan. Massive, massive one. Because again, they're the arbitrators of their own demise. Because since they have denied their children the opportunity to be with their royal relatives, it will be much easier for the royal relatives to go, you don't need those titles. You don't need those titles. You haven't spent any time with us. You know nothing about the UK. You know nothing about our lives, the history of this country, the cultural heritage that you should have grown up with. You have none of that. So why do you need the title of Prince and Princess? Why? And because of that, it's become so much easier, because also you don't have the personal connection to them. William and Catherine, as we understand it, reports indicated they only saw Archie a handful of times before he left the UK. I don't know if they've ever seen Lilibet in person. And when it comes to Charles, he saw them even less. So how easy will it be for William to strip the titles of a niece and nephew he does not see from a brother that he has a really, really bad relationship with? Yeah, it becomes really, really easy, especially when you're trying to save the institution. I firmly believe if William was fully in charge, he would have stripped or been encouraging the government to strip Harry of his titles, and he would have prevented his kids from having that Prince and Princess title. Again, all the monarchies across Europe are pulling back the titles, and I think Archie and Lili will fall into that trap, and their parents have made it so much easier for the monarchy to do that by denying their kids the opportunity to have a relationship with those in the monarchy. Harry and Meghan have set their kids up for failure, because it is challenging if you have a title and then all of a sudden you don't, or you have a demoted one. That's going to happen to Archie and Lili. They're going to go call themselves Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, and then all of a sudden William will write a new letter of patent saying the children must be raised and go to school in the UK, which is what I think the monarchy should do. That was my suggestion ages ago to do, is to go the Swedish route and say, if you're not educated in Sweden, if you can't speak Swedish, guess what? You're out of the line of succession, you lose your title. Brits should be the same way. If you're not raised in the UK, if you don't go to UK schools, you should not have a royal title. That's just what makes sense. And Archie and Lili don't have that, and so it'll be really easy for William to update and say, yep, nope, they don't have titles at all, because they have no connection to this family, really. Harry has ensured that. Meghan Markle has ensured that. She's run scampering off to the US with these titles, and she thinks she's invincible, but she's not. Things are changing. The monarchies are all changing. They're all going with the times. They're all updating how the family looks, how the family interacts, how titles go. All the royal families are doing this. I know of at least 3. So we have it in, but all the Scandinavian countries. In the Netherlands, for example, the children of the king will have princess titles. He has 3 daughters, but the younger 2 daughters, their children will not have those titles because his younger brothers, he had 2 younger brothers, their children were titled counts and countess. So those won't be the titles Archie and Lilibet have, but will they probably get something similar? Will they get the similar treatment at some point? Probably, yeah. Because even in Denmark recently, earlier this year, the children were demoted from prince and princesses to counts and countess. That is what happened, and his kids, 2 of his kids were adults, or at least close, one of them was close to. So one of them was 18, 19, 20. I can't remember how old the other one was, but they are now, they've been officially demoted, and now they're, I think, His Eminence now, because I saw HE. So they might be just His Highness, but maybe in Denmark they do HE. I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, they've been pulled back. They've been stripped some of their influence and titles. Norway, same way. Her Royal Highness Princess Ingrid Alexandra will be the future queen. Her younger brother is just His Highness. And in Sweden, all the kids have been stripped of his or her Royal Highness titles, all the grandkids who are of Carl Philip and Princess Madeline. And this is all key. This is where everybody is going. And Harry and Meghan have set their kids up to lose their titles, to be further distance from the family, and most importantly, to be at this historic day. His kids, Archie will look back, I'm sure at some point, and go, well, you know, I had a 4th birthday like anybody else's. We all went to whatever Montecito believes is Chuck E. Cheese, and it was, I would much rather have been at the Coronation. I would much rather have been at the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, because at this point, I had this royal title, but I have nothing that makes me royal. If you think about it, you have denied me this opportunity to actually be seen as royal. I would imagine at some point, maybe the kids will even get teased, because it's like, well, you're a prince and princess of what? Sussex? Have you even been to Sussex? I just don't understand what they're thinking here. It's all about, I guess, monetizing the titles and everything like that. But at the end of the day, I think this is a dumb move. And I think, once again, this will also be, again, another nail in the title coffin for Harry and Meghan, not only for themselves, but for their children too. And yes, I know, Meghan Markle probably would have been booed. She's not liked in the UK. She doesn't like the UK. So I understand her not wanting to go. But once again, they failed to see 20 miles ahead and they only see a mile ahead. Well, I don't want to get booed, so I'm not going. Well, maybe if you had sucked it up and been booed, maybe you could have wormed your way somewhat back into the system. I know she wants her future to be in the US, but what if this US thing doesn't work out? Things are already looking bad for them somewhat behind the scenes. They had a success with Spare and a success with their documentary. But will they have success with anything else not related to the royals? No idea. We have no indication the archetypes have been renewed. We have no indication about what else they're coming out with besides the Invictus documentary. And I don't even know if that will be that well watched. And so they're looking at their future and they're failing to see the bigger picture here, which is that unless you can actually fully establish yourself as away from the monarchy, you still desperately need it. That's why even you gave your kids those titles they now have, which is silly, because if you want to really separate, don't call your kids a prince and princess, just make them Archie and Lili. When Harry and Meghan first did that, I was like, oh my gosh, they get it. Thank goodness they actually get it. When Archie was born, that they just called him Archie, because it's like, great, that's what his role is going to be. He's going to be a normal citizen, because again, that's the way of the future. And that they denied him the opportunity to really have that normal life, even though they claimed that's what they wanted. Again, shame on Harry and Meghan for that. And I think, once again, at the end of the day, their true victims will be their children. I think their children will bear the brunt of their parents' mistakes. And I just have to say, I find that just incredibly, incredibly sad. So guys, let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think about Archie and Lili being denied this very historic occasion. I'd love to know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.